Hello again. I think the most challenging thing that I am facing right now is duality of personality or duality of lifestyle. Okay? We've often talked about how um, there are times where I have to work a day job and still do this in the evening. And when I say this, I mean my more spiritual teacher role. Now, I would love for this to be something that is fruitful financially to me 24, not 24 hours, everybody need a break job, but it's my regular job. But in order for that to happen, I have to operate the way I used to operate, and that means there's a definitive cost per session. There's a definitive cost per talk. There's a definitive talk per lesson. And I realized that, first of all, as much as I do like to do nice things for myself, I don't want it to be at the expense of somebody not being able to afford to see me or not being able to afford to do something else that they need, yet they need that spiritual food or some kind of lesson or some kind of aid and assistance with their emotional, spiritual, or mental health. I don't want that to be a thing. So the sacrifice for me is I have to walk a third dimensional lifestyle sometimes. And then there are times where I don't have to walk a third dimensional lifestyle. However, I become more and more aware. It used to frustrate me. And maybe some of y'all out there can relate. It used to frustrate me that, yes, I do enjoy friends. I do enjoy being social. But being social while also being spiritual sometimes poses a challenge, don't it? And if it don't for you, I'm just letting y'all know it do for me sometimes. Cause see, I can walk like I talk no matter where I am. The challenge is how much of that aspect of me can I bring in with me in any particular space and place and with any particular group of people without that being something too muchery, for lack of a better word or the better term, without that being stressful for the receiver of it, or they feel like they maybe have to change how they behave and what they're doing because I arrived. I don't ever want that to be a thing. Be who you are. I'll determine after you show me who you really are, whether or not we good company or not. And that's not me judging per se. That's me saying, okay, if that's what you want, I'm not on that. I say hi, how you doing? How your mom and them? And then go sit in the corner somewhere, or go sit with folks that are a little bit more closer to my vibe. That is a challenge, and it's becoming more and more and more of a challenge to the point where I'm like, so I even want to go outside? And I do want to socialize. I do enjoy the company of socialization, but not enough to put up with and tolerate anything that is just off-putting and upsetting. Okay, I'll give you some examples. One, when I am around someone, it is what you see. There's no mask or anything like that. I am what you see. But I also am not going to be so, um, what is the word I'm looking for, that without having to use anal retentive, but anal retentive about anything, any of my current ideals, that I'm going to push them and project them off to you. That is not my deal. However, I don't want to be belittled in any way. Now, we've talked about this. There are times where people will belittle and talk crap about the astrology aspect of the things that I like. And I'm like, if you that's what you do, that's what you do. I'm not gonna yuck your yum. Don't yuck my yum. But if you do that, it tells me more about you. Not that you don't believe in astrology. I don't care if you do it though. Okay? That ain't for you then. Not in this lifetime, maybe another lifetime. But what I care about is whether or not you're going to make fun of me for interpreting or understanding that in some way. Like, I don't want to hear about all that. Okay, if you don't want to hear about all that, that's fine. That's your choice. But don't make fun of me and make it seem like as if I'm dumb or gullible because I do. Or I do understand it. Okay? That is one of many examples. I had a really challenging week over the past week, and that's what brings this to my heart because I didn't told you about the spot I enjoy hanging out at that a good friend of mine introduced me to some years back, and I really needed this spot, and I'm actually really seriously considering kind of branching out from there because it's gotten to a space where, and maybe this is just me temporarily, and maybe I need to pull back so much more. I'm one of those friends or people that once I get to know you, I accept you as you are. You don't have to be like me, but I accept you as you are. And if you're my friend, you're my whole friend. I'm not going to do things, whether you're here or there. The same behavior I'm going to display while you're here in my presence is the same behavior I'm going to display when you're not in my presence. And I often get the lesson that you can't expect you out of somebody, you can't expect you out of other people. That's also fair and true. But there could be some expectations once you've mutually decided you two are friends. So people mutually decided they're friends. And I find that I struggle with that because I'm very childlike when it comes to friendship. There's no airs, there's no pretense. It's just, okay, I like you, you like me, we like similar things. We can engage really well, we have fun together. That's enough for me. It doesn't need to be more than that. You're a decent human being, you're not mean service workers. There's a list of things that will help me understand that this person is my friend, right? And could be a friend first, once I just kind of check you out for a while. But then after that, there's a part that's like, this person could be my friend because we have similar tastes, we have goals if we have them. Well, we're gonna go on a side street real quick. I haven't talked about this before, I think. When it comes to goals, there's often over the years I've seen, but if you have goals that you want to achieve in life, cool. Kudos to you, boo. Achieve the goals, okay? But if you don't have those and you're living a happy life, regardless of if you are achieving and climbing somebody's ladder, you're still just as beautiful and pertinent to life as someone who is. That is not the biggest draw for me, is that if you're climbing somebody's ladder to get to the top of somewhere. I don't care about that. Are you a kind and decent human being? Are you fun to talk to? Do you have more than air up here? Okay? If we in them streets and we encounter an issue, are you able to de-escalate? And if the de-escalation don't work, you gonna have my back? Are you somebody I would be cool with visiting me in the hospital if I ever got sick? And would you, without me having to prompt you to do so? These things matter more to me personally than climbing somebody's ladder. Okay? So that doesn't matter, and I would encourage you to consider thinking the same because you might miss out on some really good friendships or acquaintances or anything else that you might want to add to your sauce pot of life by looking at someone based on what kind of achievements in this here life they've achieved or what kind of job they have or what kind of salary they have. I don't think that should matter as much as who the person truly is outside of those superficial things. Okay? The thing I've struggled with is that I already know me. I know I can fight with my words, I can fight in the spirit, and I can fight with these paws. But when you know that, you ain't got nothing to prove. But when people keep trying to help you prove that, it's very challenging. And I've had that happen enough times. It's like, I gotta take a breath, and like, if I gotta keep taking these breaths and walking away, then this maybe I've outlived these people. I'm not outlived, but I've outgrown these circumstances or these people. If I gotta keep doing that. And I think that brought that to the head for me. It's like I told a really good friend, I still consider him a really good friend. It's like, hey, do you know that there are times where I feel very off put by some of the things that are said to me because culturally I'm not the norm in this place, which that don't bother me. It never did. However, I'm going to rep my melanated culture, no matter where I am. Okay, I could be in the middle of Utah, and I'm still gonna rep it because it's a part of who I am. But then again, I'm not gonna deny any aspect of myself because I love all of me. Okay? If you feel uncomfortable or don't like all of you, cool. But there are times, child, look, I'm sitting there and I'm having a good time, and then someone comes up and thinks that how I just don't understand how in 24 that folks think in order to befriend someone who is black or melanated, you have to tell them a horrible story about something you seen that was an injustice and you stepped in or you did something about it. I wasn't there, sis and bruvs. I wasn't there. So you telling me that's your way of telling me you're an ally. It kind of makes me feel that you might not be. Why can't I just be treated like everybody else and befriend me the regular way like everybody else? Oh, you look cool. Hi, my name is such and such. Let's get to know each other. It don't have to be all that. We don't have to engage the conversation with that. And I've had that happen enough times that I realize, okay, they don't realize that they're doing a racism. They're trying to be friendly, but I'm tired of having this conversation with people. Also, I'm tired of having a conversation about my hair. It ain't, look, I don't see nobody else in here having this many conversations about their hair. Okay? I don't mind sitting and educating folks. But if it's a lot and it's all at once, or it is a routine thing for me to have to do, you gonna like I done said before, you gonna have to buy me a drink or something. Cause I'm not gonna sit here and educate you for free when I'm out here with my leisure. With my leisure self. On top of the fact that there are people who will compliment my beauty, my inner beauty and my outer beauty, but also in that same spot, in the same space, have also indicated to me that it would be better. I would actually really consider you as a person I would date, or consider you as a person for this, that, and the other. If you know, because I'm just like into white girls. I was like, I wasn't trying to date you in the first place, but cool. You said that out loud and thought that was cute. It's not. And you said that out loud to my face holes. That's not cute. Like, it's 2024, and then again, this friend, I called it out as racism because it's happened to me enough times, and he's actually witnessed it happen to me enough times. I'm like, how do you not realize that that's racism? How is that racist? It's just the type. As if it's your type, then you keep that to yourself, but you don't say that to a person. You don't say that to a person routinely. Nobody should be doing that. And it's like it went right over his head. And the response to me after having the conversation and trying to attempt to educate this human being about this and how it could make someone feel, like, I'm not sensitive to none of that. Like, it doesn't make me feel like I need to run away or I need to stop doing what I need to do for me to have leisure or fun. I just put you in a category as ignorant or not aware, not, as they call, woke, not culturally competent in your social cues, and then I know where to put you at. We're not gonna go to the inner circle of friendship. We're gonna be at the outer circle of friendship. As one of my little babies I was talking to today, it's like there's a difference between the inner circle of friendship and the outer circle of friendship. And there is. And we should understand and realize the outer circle don't mean you hate that person. The outer circle just mean like you can't come in close, because coming in close requires so many boundaries for you at this point that you gotta be out there. The inner circle's for people who don't require a whole bunch of boundaries, because they just put them on themselves. Like, one of my friends would never say something like that to my face. Never. Say, you'll be cuter or you'll be cute if you were Caucasian. Never. So she gets into the inner circle. One of my friends would never comment anything that has anything to do with my race in a way that makes me feel in any way uncomfortable. And I've known her for a good minute now. Oh, I'll say a year or two, and she's never done that. So she's earned a spot in the inner sanctum, right? But then I have another friend who realizes what's going on, sees it right in front of their face, and is like, c'est la vie. And I'm like, it's not. We can make good choices. We can make better choices. But I think the end of it was him saying, you know what, you're a very kind and wonderful and sensitive soul. And I just really think that you're very sensitive to people's vibes and very sensitive to things going on around you. And because you're sensitive, it's easy to get your feelings hurt. I said, boy, if you don't stop gaslighting me. And I realized, it was in that moment I realized there's nothing I would be able to say to this human being that'll help them understand what's going on, because they've never lived enough around different cultures and experienced enough injustice to understand what that looks and feels like. So to him, it's not happening. It was like it reminded me of, like, yes, I was born in the 1900s. It reminded me of the decade and a half where more, I'm talking about after Rodney King and all of that, where it was filmed. Police brutality was filmed, and people still said he must have did something to deserve that. I don't care what Rodney King did. Why is it okay for some people's mind to do that to a human being? And they ain't trying to flee, and they can't hurt you. They're already on the ground. And then we spend the next 20 years almost fighting for people to understand that sometimes folk ain't committing no crimes and things are happening. Like recently, even, I was at a stoplight and I was passing what I realize now is a police station, but I just moved into this area that I'm in right now. And so I realized I was passing it and I lost my GPS. Well, I'm just getting to know this area again post Katrina, because I haven't really gotten to know it post Katrina. I lived in a whole different area of the greater New Orleans area. So I'm getting to know this area again, anew. And things are way different. So I almost always have the GPS on. So my GPS started staticking and glitching out. So at the red light, I looked down at my phone. And there was a cop coming from the opposite direction towards me. No biggie, I'm not speeding, I'm not doing nothing. I'm at the red light looking at my phone. So when the light changed, I put my phone down and start driving. This mofo made the block to come pull me over. Right? Pulls me over, yells at me for looking at my phone. I didn't even know that was an illegal thing if I'm not near a school, and it's not actually. Yells at me for looking at my phone, and then has me sit there 30 minutes, and I'm almost running late for appointments and shit. Just so he can come back and realize I didn't have nothing on my record, not so much as a speeding ticket. I didn't have nothing. He assumed that I did and came back looking contrite, said he was sorry, but since he pulled me over, he had to give me a ticket. Or you don't have a brake tag or something like that. You have a crack in your windshield, so we're gonna have to give you a ticket for those things. Sir, you just cost me money that I don't necessarily have to be spending right now, because you felt like getting froggy. Stuff like that don't happen to everybody. But if you explain that to some folks that they don't understand or believe that happens on a routine basis. I'm grateful that it doesn't happen to me a whole hell of a lot in my life. But I get run all the time. I get pulled over and run all the time for them to just let me go. Why? Because they assume when they run me, they're going to find something they never do. And that's something that not everybody has to deal with. So when you have that in your regular everyday life, and then you go to a place of leisure, and then someone else kind of like thinks they're being friendly by commenting on black injustice and how they're contributing, because that's part of their conversation opener, it's just exhausting, y'all. And if y'all white and y'all believe yourself to be allies and you're doing this, cut it out, please. We don't want to hear it. We don't want to hear it unless we ask you. You know how you can be an ally? Just treat us like everybody else. How you can be an ally? Is understand when you make culturally insensitive comments and someone says, hey, in a friendly way, not in an aggressive way, hey, that's not cool, this is how it makes me feel, except that that's how it made them feel. You don't get to decide how they feel. You don't get to decide that it makes you uncomfortable that they're uncomfortable, so you tell them something that's gaslighty. So if you're out there doing it, cut it out, okay? It's not helping. It's not. Be an ally by standing there and being with them whenever they say something is going on, especially if you witness it and they tell you how it makes them feel. I'll be with you. Here's a great question to ask. How can I help you? What do you need from me? This is no different than the advice I give people when they're not sure what to do to help somebody who's in grief or mourning, or someone who's dealing with something that is emotional and affecting. Some people don't know what to say when somebody cry. Some people don't know what to do when someone's having a little cute little minty bee. And sometimes it's cute, sometimes it's not. It depends on what you're having a minty bee about. And for the people a little long on the tooth, minty bee just means like a little emotional moment where you feel like you're breaking down because life just got a little hard for a second. Okay? The best question you can ask is, how can I help? What can I do to help you? What do you think would best help you right now that I can help you with? Whatever way you want to phrase that question, that's how we can do that. Okay? Now, you would think that, oh, I'd be like, hell no, I'm just, peace out. I actually like this joint. I love the music that I hear. I love that I can smoke my cigars and I ain't got to be outside with the skeeters. I love if I want to sit in a corner and just listen to some really good live music and not be bothered, I can do that too. So the joint is like, it feels like it's stopped in time, you know. It has a speakeasy kind of feel to it, and I really love that vibe. It took me a long time to cultivate a place like that where I know everybody kind of knows my name, at the regulars anyway, without people really knowing me. And I'm cool with people not really knowing me. They don't even know, most of them don't even know I do this. Maybe 2 people know I do this and they don't even watch it, because that's not their deal, and I don't judge them for it. They're not spiritual like that, right? So they just know I do this. They don't even really know what it's about, and I like that. I want to be able to go in there and be anonymous almost, while also knowing and seeing familiar faces that I know can be safe people. I want it to be a safe space for me, and I'm struggling with having that happen. Okay? The vibe for me is real chill, and I feel safe, and I got a seat to sit down. Because see, if I got to stand up to go, or if I got to stand up to listen to music, I ain't going. And it's not even because I'm a little, up there in age. Honey, I've been this way since I was in my 20s. If I got to stand up to go do it, I ain't doing it unless it's a festival. I got sneakers on. It's a nice little breezy sunny day in the spring or something like that. And even then, I'm going to have a folded chair over my shoulder if we go into a festival or something. Because every now and again, I'm going to go and sit down. I'm not walking around and eating my good food and spilling it all over the ground. No, I want to enjoy what it is I choose to get at a festival, because it's going to be fat girl food, and I'm cool with that. Think about it. That's something they used to have at the First Quarter Festival. It was called a crawfish bread boat, and it would be like a beautiful kind of brioche bread split open, and it had this crawfish sauce that made out of this cream sauce, and they would put all kinds of Italian cheeses on top of the crawfish sauce, and they had full tail of crawfish in the sauce, and they put it in a little boat, and it had all kinds of yumminess in it with a little bit of pasta. It's like crawfish pasta, but with like cheese sauce and child, forget about it. And they don't even have it no more. I don't know what restaurant used to make that, but I used to look forward to that though. I don't know what made me think about that. I was talking about festivals, sorry. Squirrel. Anyway. But I like this place because I can sit down. I can be myself. I don't have to do too much. I can have a nice drink if I want. I can just drink water if I want and sit there and just enjoy music. And that's what I love about it. I am contemplating falling back from it, and I hate that for me. I don't like that for me. I hate to use the word hate, so I just don't like that for me. Mostly because it takes me a long time to find somewhere I'm comfortable. And that's not an everybody else problem, that's a me issue. I'm not always comfortable in places and around people. What I realized though, over time, is that sometimes there are times in order to be social, I lower my vibration. And what I mean by that is, if somebody else is spilling tea, which I don't mind tea every now and again, I'll spill some tea myself. It depends on if it's going to be harmful or hurtful to somebody. But I realize there's a lot of people who be spilling tea, and I'm just like, oh, really? What happened? I don't need to involve myself in that. I don't need to start involving myself in that. But I realized I had. Because what else am I doing, right? it's true that boredom is the devil's playground. Um, and y'all already know by now. If you don't know, I mean devil metaphorically, energetically. Ain't nobody out there looking for a devil to be mean and hateful to. This is more of a, hey, it's an energy, it's a spirit that every human being on this planet has a capacity to inhibit or inhabit, um, if they make some not so great choices for themselves and others. Okay? Okay. Now, I find that it is the most challenging being alone in a crowded room. And I've always had that feeling since I was a very tiny person, knowing I was alone in a crowded room. And that feeling comes from realizing things that others around you may not be aware of, but also realizing when something's wrong and you're like, I'm not participating in that, or I'm not going to do it the same way you're doing, and everybody else is doing something a different way and they seem to be having a better time of it. You denying yourself or stopping yourself from participating in something because you just don't want the outcomes from participating in that something. That's one thing. And that sometimes it's challenging, not because I want to do those things. I'm still not going to. But it's challenging because it would be nice to have genuine friends that I know aren't going to be in some way corrupted by my presence or try to corrupt me by theirs. And when I say corrupted, I mean all the things. We talked about this before. When the devil show up, are they going to walk away with me? Or are they going to stay there with the devil and keep talking and participate in whatever bull crap is going on? Or try to encourage me to do so? That kind of thing, right? And we've already talked about that. Devil energy is more like, are you going to overindulge to the point of drunkenness on a regular basis? And why are you doing that? I don't want to do that. But I also don't want to be, not necessarily associated, but I don't want to be close friends with someone who does that, because from a perspective of spiritual healing and growth, but also from a perspective of therapeutic healing and growth and psychological healing and growth, I understand that someone who does that on a regular basis may have some emotional issues that they're not dealing with. And that's going to spill out in their everyday life. That's going to spill out in their social spheres. I don't want to be associated with that. And not associated, I just don't want to deal with that, the spill out, right? I don't want to deal with that. Friendship sometimes is hard and you have to make some really tough choices sometimes. But I don't want it to be hard all the damn time. That's not a friendship. That's a patient or a client. I don't need no more of those. I've learned my lesson from that, okay? The inner sanctum is for people who I can be my full self with without feeling like I have to engage in anything that goes against who I am right now. Who I am right now is, I want fun without bull crap. I can have a good time all night long, and as long as everybody's staying chill, I'ma stay chill. That kind of thing. I don't super love or enjoy my race being such a factor for some people still in 2024. For friendship or otherwise. Hell, in this new area that I live in, because the area that I live in now, there's a lot of very wealthy people. Financially wealthy, honey. Just financially. To me, that's really not everything. It's not even a tip of the hat of everything. But these people, man, I tell you what, there's kindness with a whole bunch of them, but there's also this layer of just, they're inoculated from outside world so much, it is palpable to me. Like they don't really know the struggles of anybody outside of that, and that's really jarring and strange for me. It has been really a culture shock, because I've lived in all kind of walks of life, don't get me wrong, but I've never lived with so many people who just live in such wealth. And that it keeps them from really even identifying with anybody outside of that or who comes from outside of that. And they're a lot of them are not aware of it. Even though I said the majority have been kind, but I'm also experiencing these things that are so strange to me. There are absolutely times, there are absolutely times I just want to say, you know what? Please, darling, please don't make me tie my hair up. Because what you just said was really out of left field. And it's not something that I would actually do. I'm not going to fight somebody because of something they said to me. I'm just not. That's not even something, like, that's something old me probably would have done for sure. But me at this point, I don't see that as something that I don't have anything to prove to nobody. Even if somebody thinks something of me or says something to or about me, I am not throwing hands for something somebody said. Unless it's fire in the theater kind of thing. So if you are beckoning someone to attack me, yeah, I'm throwing hands for that. But if it's like just an insult, honey, I'm gonna be real kid about it. I'm rubbing your glue, bounce off of me, stick to you kind of thing. Because I see it all as projection. Ain't nobody who's hateful to somebody who hasn't harmed them isn't themselves hurting on the inside. But like, there's nothing I can do to you that you ain't already doing to yourself. I'm gonna go ahead and keep walking my pretty self to wherever my seat is. You can keep doing that. So I have nothing to prove. I find that side street, a little mini side street, even got a dead end, honey. People who fight at the drop of a hat and always talking about how they like fighting, honey, there ain't nothing healed inside of them. These people have very small senses of self. The self-esteem is usually pretty low. This has been my experience. There might be some exceptions to the rule out there, but I don't know none. I ain't never met none. Anybody who out there constantly wanting to fight and constantly enjoying violence, constantly talking about how big and bad they are all the damn time, honey, no. There's a lot of folk out there, believe it or not, there's some people out there who really believe I'm scared of them because I wouldn't fight them back. Or I wouldn't clap back, and I wouldn't do this back. No. No. Actually, there are times where I wish I had still to this day. There are times I wish I had. Times I wish I didn't back down. Yeah, I still struggle with that. But I also know me. I ain't trying to go back there. I've been hurting people with my anger since I was a very young person. Now, granted, I will give myself a little bit of credit at this point of healing that I ain't never start nothing. But I finished a lot of things way too harshly. Way too harshly. I can see that now. Because I wasn't just taking out that day's anger or that moment's anger. I was taking out whatever happened up until that point in my lifetime's anger on that one person who did that one thing. And now I've learned from that. Realize that I can temper myself. Becoming a master in this life requires you mastering your mind and not allowing someone else to have the joystick. Do you understand? Doesn't mean you don't have that ego part of you that is here to protect you from things that are harmful and harsh. Or it don't mean that ain't present. So I know that there are times I probably should have clapped back, but I just didn't freaking want to. Excuse my language. It's like, I have so many other things to do other than this that is way more important than clapping back. I'd rather y'all think I am nothing and nobody. Because the things that I'm doing ain't got nothing to do with you personally. And at certain points, there were people who I thought it did have something to do with. Nah. I know it pretenders to the throne when I experienced them. And that's what I was experiencing at that time. I didn't know that. It hurt my heart to be attacked by those folks. It really did. And also there were times that I actually believed some of the things that they were saying about me. Because there was so many of them saying it. And now I'm like, oh, I see what that was. It was a journey. I was still on my journey of self-love and acceptance. Because I still hadn't accepted all of me yet. Now that I have, I realize what it is. Again, nobody who is fooled into hurting the innocent sits on any thrones that I am aware of. And I'm gonna leave that there. I said, well, I've even heard people say when there was going on, all them people ain't gonna lie on you. Yeah, it happens all the time. It happens to people all the time. And unlike those circumstances, I had receipts. I could have produced the receipt. Why didn't you produce receipts and go off on everybody? Like, look, I had already gone off on whoever I was gonna go off on to get him off my back. I didn't feel like fighting no more. It's like, what is we doing? What are we really doing? I have other things to do. I was exhausted. Now that's the why of exhaustion, and this is the reason why I struggle. I'm having this battle right now. It feels like a revisit. Do I stay in the company of these folks even though I do enjoy my time, but those things are uncomfortable? Or do I dip? Because that's what I did. And when I'm talking about folks who attacked me and made me feel some kind of way about myself and had me believe in all kind of ugly things that I know weren't true, but enough of them were saying it must, well, damn, I must have done that. Damn, I must be dead. So I dipped. And it's hard because I enjoy hanging out and I enjoy going to this space just like I enjoyed and who the people I was talking about previously that I've had these issues with is so-called spiritual community. So far I have not been able to be comfortable in any branches of any spiritual community. I hope that changes. I still hold space for one that I find that works for me, that is genuine. Walking how they talk kind of thing without it being messy and all these things and egotistical and all that. Look, I'm not trying to do all that. The world is doing enough. I have not been able to find that. I gave up that search a long time ago. And a long time ago for somebody else, maybe a short time for another person. But I have not found a spiritual community as of right now that isn't egotistical, that isn't trying to put someone at the head of the table always. I imagine in my mind a spiritual community that will work for me is people who understand the table is round, no matter who's got this skill set or that skill set, or who deifies this one or that one, who venerates this one or that one, who worships this or that one. That's a very personal thing. What I feel is important is how we operate within this dimension, how we operate within these flesh suits. That's what's more important to me than who you think you are in a past life, who you think is protecting you in this life. I even have folks say, see, I ain't worried this multiple times. Folks talk about their ancestors and how they protect them and all these things. I'm like, how you show that's what's protecting you? And some people know that that's not what's protecting them, and they just call it that. But do you not understand how DNA works? So if your DNA tells you that you're kind of monochromatic in that sense, in other words, most of your DNA comes from either Haiti, Africa, or something like that, or most of your DNA comes from Europe or something like that, or most of your DNA comes from Asia. Sit it there. If we're talking about ancestry, there are folk out there whose ancestry, including yours truly, goes through all of them lines. All of them. So you mean to tell me they're going to pick and choose what children they decide? I mean, like, if you have a whole bunch of children that's in your bloodline, and all of them are striving to do something great or decent with their lives and with themselves and with their energy and their vibration, they have the potential to uplift themselves and others. And you're going to choose just this one because they gave the right stuff on a certain day? Well, if that's the case, then I'm cool with them not having my back if that were the case, but I happen to feel and understand for myself that that is not the case. Truth be told, the devil is other people. That's been my experience. The devil energy that we understand from different religious text. It's how people treat each other, wittingly or unwittingly. But it'd be nice to find that kind of community where people understand the table is round. You have this skill set, you have this skill set, you have this skill set. How can we help our community? How can we be there for each other? How can we uplift each other in some kind of way, but also hold each other accountable? I haven't found that yet. And I hope to someday find it. It's like I just heard, if you build it, they will come. Look, I'm tired, y'all. I done been through a lot. I done talked about a lot of the things that I've been through. Again, I even told y'all all of it. So building more things and doing more things is not necessarily all my agenda. I'm gonna keep going to the park, and if somebody show up, whoever show up, the folk that show up, whether it be on camera or in the park, especially, I'm cool with just that. Child, I used to want to build so many things, but I will be honest with y'all. Between those experiences that I've just talked about and others, I'm just like, why am I stressing myself out trying to build anything for anybody? And I know this is a selfish thought, considering all things considered. But I still feel like I'm important too. My emotions and my physical health and my mental health is important too. I didn't used to prioritize that. I do now. Absolutely do. Like I recently got a job. I worked one day. I was like, I doubt very seriously I'm going back there. I used extra income, but I doubt very seriously I'm going back there. I am not. Listen, I'm trying to live soft right now. As soft as I possibly can while still taking care of myself and my deal and my bills or whatever. I'm using the built up skills and talent over time to do what it is I feel is my purpose and my soul's calling. It is very hard to have that calling and not be able to not be in the mindset of building anything additionally. I really am not. And I don't know if that's going to change. If I build something, I'm going to have, the resources to build it. That's one. And two, one of the resources I need is people with the same mindset. That we want to have a space that is safe. No matter what you choose to believe in, this space is safe. We're gonna talk about mental health. We're gonna talk about reproductive health. Even in our talks, we're gonna talk about real world issues. We're not gonna read the same old text over and over and over again. Look, I ain't knocking nobody's belief structure by saying that. I'm saying that if I build it, it's not going to eliminate anybody from being in that space and saying that this person don't belong here because they believe in this. That you go to them places whenever you want to go to them places. But this, if I build it, would be about community. Yeah, sometimes things need leadership. I am perfectly fine. If there's someone who would like to lead and I just talk every now and again, I'm cool with that too, because it's tired, not in the physical most of the time, but in the spiritual, okay? Life has been a lot. In the last 4-5 years, it's been so much more. More than one of the things that make me tired, again, we're going to go on another side street. One of the things that make me tired is there are things that I've gone through that I can't even discuss with the average human being without them either thinking I'm making it up crazy or something else, or in some way upsetting their mental, that they can't even function after having that conversation with me. So these are not things I can go into a therapist's office and sit down and say, guess what happened? And I am struggling with it because I am still in this meat suit and it causes me emotional and mental upset from time to time. I still have triggers from it that I have to self-soothe myself, because there's not a psychologist or a therapist out there that can understand this or know this is even a thing that is possible. That's exhausting. And one of the reasons why I want to ingratiate myself in the spiritual community, because I saw a lot of people talking about some of these things that they have experienced. But even that had so much messiness and sloppiness in my assessment. That's my subjective opinion. That's my experience. It may not be everybody's experience. Bullying and infighting and like competition. I'm not trying to compete with you. Like one of the experiences that really pushed me back, and it's like it was one of the very last experiences, the ones I had on TikTok. But because I'm like, if I got to a space where I'm still giving you love and still supporting you and still trying to help you without even asking you for credit, you don't know that I'm here helping you. That's fine. But I got to a space where I'm like, I'm actually getting to a space where I'm angry enough to attack these people. No, it ain't worth it for me. It ain't worth it for me. Just because you're not aware of who I truly am and you have some preconceived notions from wherever you got it from, I was tempted. And I'm like, yeah, I defended myself in moments I needed to be defended energetically. That's why I'm still here, because someone really was trying to take this out. But I don't want to be in a community that does that. I just don't. Where you're out here for likes and views. I will admit, there were times I did do something, not to the person per se, but to demonstrate and show that these people are not here to teach you spiritual food or give you spiritual edification. They're here for you to worship them. And when I did that something, and the views started fluctuating, it showed itself. It didn't change much. So I'm like, why am I even here? And it's not me saying I hate those people or dislike those people. No. I don't think that they're aware of how harmful that is to them and others. And I could be wrong. That's a thing that I'm always willing to admit and accept if I'm given other information. And that's something, again, I did not experience in the spiritual communities that have currently had current experiences with. Being able to accept when you are wrong. It's not something that I experienced. Something I did experience is someone who had massive following compared to myself decided, you know what? I'm going to take this person's logo and all that stilo and the things that they say, and I'm going to put it on my page. And when it was brought to my attention that happened, I changed all my stuff. She can have it. If you want to take it, take it. At first I was upset. And then I talked to her about it. I mean, she started out the gate with kind of like 50,000 or more followers, whatever the case was. I didn't care about that as much. I cared about my message. And it's like, in order for the message to get out, it has to be seen by enough people, right? What you have to say is different than what I have to say, I presume. Or we're all saying the same thing in unison. It's like a choir. But we're not in competition with each other. It was never like that. At least not for me. And after I brought to her attention, she's like, yeah, no, I'm not going to change it. She was aware of it, brought it to her attention. She's like, welcome to the spiritual community. How do you welcome to something? It was like, it just felt very bitchy. And I'm just like, oh, okay, so y'all are really in competition for who going to be the next whatever. Y'all can have it. Like, if I said it, like, you have all these, it's just going to swallow what it is that I'm doing. You can do your own lane. You don't have to do what I'm doing. And I've had to say that so many times to these folks in the spiritual community. Every time they do it, I'm like, I ain't got to hate on you. I ain't got to put your name out there. I ain't got to denigrate you in the public. But what I can do is show you how much of a magician I am and go ahead and switch lanes and create something else. You can have it. See, that's what I choose to do with it. And I still have to go heal the hurt and pain and the upset feelings of having to experience that. And I've experienced that so much. Y'all have no idea how many of these folks out here that some folks are following that just came to my little self and took and plagiarized. And I just sat there and ate it because I don't feel like having an argument with you. And also, I think it's more important for the message to be heard than who says it. If you're doing it for clout, do it for clout. I don't care. But I really would like to be a part of a community that ain't doing it for just that. It's okay to feel good about being validated. Hell, I feel good about being validated, but I don't want that to be my whole reason for doing anything. And I don't know how to find where that community at. I've not had luck thus far. Excuse me, y'all. I'm gonna put some eucalyptus oil on my fingers. I love the way that smells. And whenever I'm talking about something challenging or experiencing an emotion that is challenging, it helps ground me. I recommend it highly. You take a pure eucalyptus oil, y'all, and you rub it on them fingers. It'll, back in the day, see, this is gonna date me for sure. Sister Mary Catherine, she said, when I get anxiety, I do my arms like this and I just from SNL. It's an old SNL thing. If you young, you don't know what that is. But to me, it kind of reminds me of that. It makes me laugh on top of grounding me. Anyway. But all of that experience, at least in the last 5 years, just trying to find what home feels like, has been so challenging and beautiful and wonderful in its own ways. I haven't found home yet. See, I kind of thought I did with this spot that I enjoy going to, because I don't have to be my spiritual self. I found that when I was more of my spiritual self, that's when people started revealing things about them that I had not previously known, that showed me how uncomfortable they were with my blackness. Even though they cared about me as a person, they still do care about me as a person, but they kept showing layers of their discomfort. And it's like, okay, so that's weird. And I just put a pin in it, like, it don't mean any harm by it. And a lot of times, I'll say 9 times out of 10, that don't mean no harm by it. Doesn't mean I'm not experiencing the harm it does, though. Finding the group of people that are home for me would be nice in this life, especially right now. Because next week is going to be a culmination of a lot of hard work. And regardless of the result now, y'all, because work will be done regardless. We're still going towards the same goal. It's the 201's energy. It don't matter what kind of road we take, we're still going to get to the destination. There is no choice not to. Human beings are going to evolve their consciousness. Okay? I'm going to do a second video on the evolution of consciousness that I hope that is received well. But it's a conversation I had with another one of my students that made me feel like I needed to speak on it a little bit more. And so you can understand how I see it and how I view it from the perspective of a teacher or someone who is educating you spiritually. What do I think evolution of consciousness is, it means. And I feel like I've touched on it in previous videos. It's just, I'm going to center the conversation around that. Plus, give me maybe a sip of tea or some soda or something. Anyway, your love.